We are living in days of disrespect. You see it almost every day in the world among people. So much hatred, disrespect, no honor. In the home, in the schools, toward the police, toward employers, in churches, or for anyone else in authority. Overall, we see in disrespect. So today, from the Word of God, we're going to talk about that. First of all, where does the fault begin? When it comes to disrespect, is it in the schoolhouse? Is it in the church? Where does the fault begin in one's life not to have respect? In Proverbs 13:24, God says these words, "He that spareth," the word spareth means to refuse. "He that spareth or to refuse his rod," rod means here in Hebrew, a stick for punishment, "hateth his son. But he that loveth him chasteneth or disciplines him betimes." The word betimes means early, before it's too late. Let me read the verse as it is. "He that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes," or again before it's too late. And people say, well, that's Proverbs. That's the Old Testament. We're under grace, not under the law. But this is the Word of God. And I believe that fault begins in the house. Before a kid in school doesn't respect his teacher, or even in church doesn't respect the preacher or what's going on in church, I believe it began before that at home among parents who did not see the need in teaching their children or bringing to them discipline. And God says here, if you spare this rod, and if you spare this punishment upon your child, you need to do it before it's too late. Because when they leave the home of the parents and face the world, if they were not taught at home the right way to go scripturally, many times, most of the time, they will never learn it. My second point is this: where does foolishness begin? Because disrespect is foolishness. So where does that begin? Now read Proverbs 22:15. "Foolishness is bound," the word means confined, "in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him." I can testify it works. I went through this as a child. I had in my heart foolishness, disrespect. I was many times not doing what was right. But then when my daddy and my mama disciplined me, it would drive that from my heart. And I was a different child. And every time I was disciplined by my parents, I didn't feel like they hated me. I didn't feel like they was trying to destroy my life. I felt like they were doing everything they could to raise a young boy up in the things of God. Number 3, parents that feel sorry for the children and won't discipline them. I can't, he's just an angel. I can't discipline this child because I just love him too much. And I'm going to read now from Proverbs 23:13. "Withhold not correction from the child. If thou beatest him with the rod," listen now, "he shall not die." God said he's not going to die if you punish him. I'm not talking about using fists, beating up a child. Neither is God. But it's talking about strict discipline. It's talking about backing up what you say. Don't tell a child 5, 10 times the same thing. Tell the child one time, and then if a child doesn't obey you, deal with it. If this is not done in the early years of a child's life, that child is headed for a life of being rude, disrespectful, not honoring anybody. When it comes to teachers in school, the police department, church ministry, everything, there's no respect given. And I think right now in our country, even among adults, we're seeing now the evidence of adults now years ago did not learn the principles from the Word of God how to respect other people. And it's showing up right now in our nation. People suing one another, going to court over this and that, in the roads blowing the horns at you, giving you obscene gestures, cussing you out. All of this is a sign that many people were not raised biblically. We're not raised understanding the words Mr. and Mrs., yes sir, yes ma'am, no sir, no ma'am, no respect. And the ones that have this, it was many times in their home life, and they were growing up, that's one area that parents failed in. You see, we have this now concept among many young parents. I just want to give them everything I can. I don't want the kids to do without anything. And I'm trying to give them all they're asking for. And what you're doing, you're ruining your children. And they go to work, and the first 2 days at work, they quit because somebody told them what to do. And they can't handle that. They go to school, and the teacher gives out some assignments, and they just have a fit because they cannot take anybody telling them what to do. They go to church. If they go to church at all, hear a man of God preach the word of God, they can't handle it because the Word of God tells us what to do. You see, we got a crisis going on in our country in many areas. But one of them is showing up right now from past years, children that were raised with no discipline and were taught there's no need to have respect. I was in my road today going home a few months ago. I turned on my driveway, and I was going, I think, the normal speed, and a guy behind me just cussed me out. And our windows were up. He was so boisterous, cussing me out, you could hear him even using God's name in vain because I was in the way. I didn't turn in fast enough. No respect. And now with the road rage, all this, people are getting killed now because they just cannot accept, I might have to wait a minute. But really it comes down again, growing up with no respect. That's one thing in my life that my parents drilled in me. I mean, they drilled it. And also the military helped me too, to have respect. So today, for some of you, it's too late. They're already grown and gone. But some of you today who are listening to this, you have young children. Don't miss the opportunity. You only have one shot at it. Love them, pray for them, see about them, but don't leave out the very important part. That child from you needs a place of being disciplined. And you will have the byproduct one day that's worth it all. I found out when I was raising my two boys, our two sons, doing it correctly is hard work. It's hard work. It'll make you old trying to train up your children in the ways of God, the right way. You age from doing that. But then one day you have the byproduct of that, and you have a grown son or grown daughter who's living like he or she should live. You say, thank God for the sleepless nights I had. I made an attempt to do it the right way. We need help in America. This world needs help. Our schools need help. They're war zones. Everywhere you turn, we need help. No respect, no honor. Nobody says thank you. Nobody says you're welcome. Going back again, not to any other place, but back to the home where parents after parents have failed to carry out what the Word of God says. Until next time, from Clark's Chapel Baptist Church, we trust with God's help that you would have wonderful days.